If more people were weird like him, wouldn't we have a much better world?
You weren't going to take any bullying, you were just going to ride it.
I was just owning it, you know. I guess I always was a little off-center, and you know, I want to empower all the weird people out there.
A one-of-a-kind singer, musician, and comedian. Known for his comedy tunes and for recording satirical versions of some of the most famous hits of all time, he is the king of musical parody with a trademark, his accordion. Weird Al's career has lasted for over 45 years and continues to this day. Since the 80s, he has been cracking audiences up for decades and spoofed countless and some of the most popular artists like Michael Jackson, Queen, Nirvana, and Madonna.
Well, I do the best I can with what I'm given, and as always, my albums are very eclectic. I mean, I go from a gangster rap song to a country song to a straight-on pop song, so I try to hit as many genres as I can.
But how did Al Yankovic get so weird? He might be odd, unique, and silly, but never offbeat.
It's pretty crazy. This is one of those things, I've had an amazing year, and this is one of those things that I never dreamed in my life would ever happen. It just...
Hi, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and you're watching The X.
No, because it all started off because you were taught how to play the accordion. Am I right?
It is, yeah.
So how did playing the accordion lead to all this?
Alfred Matthew Yankovic was born on October 23, 1959 in Downey, California, to Mary Elizabeth and Nick Yankovic. He grew up an only child in the LA suburb of Linwood. A day before his 6th birthday, his parents enrolled young Alfred at a local music school where he had his first accordion lesson. A salesman belonging to the school had knocked on their door to sell music classes, and Al's parents chose accordion over guitar because they believed it would revolutionize rock music. He learned to play classical and polka music through formal training, but taught himself how to recreate his favorite pop tunes by ear. Yankovic made quick progress with his accordion, and by early adolescence, he was able to play along to some of his favorite albums, including Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. In his early teens, Al fell in love with rock music, and he became an avid fan of the Dr. Demento show. Al was a precocious child, valedictorian of his class at Linwood High School, nerdy and shy. Prior to making it, his path to stardom was a bit of a rocky road. In 1970, Barry Hansen, professionally known as Dr. Demento, started a radio program devoted to comedy, novelty, and strange music and recordings, music he described as demented music, such as Monty Python and Frank Zappa.
When I do a live show, we of course take advantage of the opportunities to do things that are visual as well as just strictly audio. We show movies, and I like to think that I select films in the same way as I select records. Very much the same subjective qualifications apply. We try and show things that are lighthearted and funny and trippy and things like that, and they'll range from classic cartoons to some of the zanier creations of modern-day dimensions and eventites.
When he was around 13 years old, Al tuned in to the Dr. Demento show and was instantly mesmerized by people like Spike Jones, Alan Sherman, and Stan Freberg. He was immediately hooked. In the late 70s, he obtained a bachelor's degree in architecture from California Polytechnic State University, but his heart was always in music. Demento would later play a pivotal role in helping Weird Al gain a widespread audience.
Well, I never really anticipated making a career doing what I do. I mean, I always was very, very sort of adult-minded. I thought that, I would grow up someday and have a real job. I got a degree in architecture. I thought, hey, I'll design buildings for a living. But, that wasn't really my passion. And I got a few lucky breaks here and there, and it was sort of an accidental career. I kind of built up a cult following through a syndicated radio show in the States called the Dr. Demento Radio Show. And he played all sorts of comedy and novelty and odd things on his show, and my music fit right in. And I kind of built up a fan base through that and was able to get a record deal eventually. But it wasn't anything that I really had calculated or really strove to do. It just sort of like, I sort of went down that path and I found myself, with a record deal and a career. And it kind of amazes me that, several decades later, I'm still doing this.
With the Dr. Demento show as an inspiration, Al started to DJ for the campus radio station KCPR. Al was a loner, and due to his eccentricities, he earned the nickname Weird Al from some of his dorm mates, who saw him as some kind of enigma. But he had his own sense of humor, and he had always wanted to be an entertainer, a performer. Although the station had a music system itself, Al totally ignored it and played what he wanted. He had also begun to develop a number of characters and skits that the school management deemed politically incorrect. Al was a rebel. He gave the nerds confidence and hope. Weird Al embraced his new nickname and soon adopted it as his professional handle. Indeed, it was a perfect fit.
Yeah, well, I first got the nickname Weird Al in college. I think sometime during my freshman year, they were calling me that in the dorms. I don't know why. But the next year, I took it on professionally as an air name because I was on the college radio station. And everybody had some kind of wacky name like Macho Mike or the Sheriff or something like that. And Weird Al, yeah, it seemed appropriate because I was playing sort of weird music. But that was sort of it, because as soon as I was doing the Weird Al show, it was like, there goes Weird Al. And it just kind of followed me around to this very day.
In 1976, Hansen spoke at Yankovic School, where the 16-year-old gifted the radio host with a demo tape of home recordings. Al got his first spin on the radio when Demento played his homemade tape, Belvedere Cruising, an accordion-driven pop song written about the family's car, on the air. Demento had said that while it wasn't the greatest submission he had ever heard, the accordion stood out, and he saw some spark and creativity in there.
No, because it all started off because you were taught how to play the accordion. Am I right?
It is, yeah.
So how did playing the accordion lead to all this?
I got accordion lessons at a very early age, which I think probably warped me for the rest of my life. I mean, if I took guitar lessons, I might have taken a whole different path in life. But as an accordion player, I was very much an outsider. For some odd reason, my friends really didn't want an accordion player in their band, so I had to kind of come up with my own direction. And I learned early on that people thought it was kind of funny when I played rock and roll songs on the accordion. Never quite, worked out. The juxtaposition was always kind of humorous to people. So that's when, I think that was probably when I first started doing the polka medleys. I would do polka medleys of all the, the popular pop and rock songs of the day. And people thought that was funny for some reason.
This inspired Al to write and record more of his song parodies, and he started spinning a mixture of novelty and new wave hits. Just weeks later, Dr. Demento received another submission from Al with a song titled School Cafeteria. The tune quickly made his top 10 most requested list. Al overcame his shyness as he started to do some performances on the accordion in the dorm that were enthusiastically received. Those performances inspired concerts for a larger audience, and in October 1977, with his friend Joel Miller at his side, they started playing music together at the campus coffee house. Suddenly, he was speaking to hundreds of people through his music, and they loved it. In the summer of 1979, while still at the station, Al gained even more attention with the parody that officially launched his recording career. My Sharona by The Knack was a huge hit and was one of the station's most requested songs. So Al came up with a brilliant concept of his own, which he called My Bologna. However, he couldn't afford a real recording studio, so he brought his accordion, recorded the song in one of the campus's public bathrooms, and then sent the tape to Dr. Demento. The song was heard by the Knack's frontman, Dog Fager, who recommended the satire be released as a single to the band's label. So later that year, Al's first single was released, and Capitol Records offered him a recording contract. The song that followed was an eccentric take on a Queen's classic, Another One Bites the Dust, titled Another One Rides the Bus. It premiered on the radio and got an instantaneous success.
Riding in a bus down the boulevard and the place was pretty packed. I couldn't find a seat, so I had to stand with the perverts in the back. You were smelling like a locker room, there was junk all over the floor. We're already packed in like sardines, we're stopping to pick up more liquor. Another one rides the bus, another one rides the bus, and another comes on, and another comes on, another one rides the bus. Hey.
Al continued to rise in fame. In 1981, he was flown to New York to perform the song live on national TV. He and his drummer, Bermuda Schwartz, appeared on The Tomorrow Show, hosted by the late Tom Snyder.
Yankovic, how do I say it? Come on.
You can just call me Jungle Beast.
Jungle Beast?
Who are you, by the way?
I'm Gloria.
this?
Gloria Pryor, Showbuzz International Entertainment TV.
Darn nice to meet you.
Now, should I call you Jungle Al because of these wonderful abs and
Well, you know,
biceps that
Arnold
you're
has
showing?
been my personal trainer for many years now, so it always makes me happy when he finds the time to do, little movies like this.
And if you keep training with him, you might even get to be as big as that blown up monster up there.
They told me I could keep the balloon after the movie, so this is a big perk for me. I'm really excited about this.
Will it fit in the seat next to you?
I'm being called away. I gotta go now. Well,
no.
goodbye.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Until later, we'll get him again.
In 1982, Al released his first top 40 hit, I Love Rocky Road, a parody of I Love Rock and Roll.
Chocolate's getting old, vanilla just leaves me cold. There's just one flavor good enough for me, yeah, me. Don't give me no crummy teaspoon, I know what I need. Baby, I love Rocky Road, so won't you go and buy half a gallon, baby? I love Rocky Road, so have another triple scope with me. Ow!
He had been signed previously to a short-lived recording contract with Capitol Records for his single, My Bologna, and got a first taste of the music business when he first performed the song in 1982, opening for Missing Persons. The short performance was a disaster. The audience back then wasn't that familiar with Al and wasn't amused. There was booing and things were thrown on the stage, but Al stayed. He was shaken but not deterred. Now he was on a mission, finding a company that would give him the financial and creative support he needed to move his career forward. For the 2 following years after finishing college, he and his friend Jay Levy knocked on the door of every record company in town to see if they were interested in signing him as an artist. Finally, he signed with Scotti Brothers Records, with which he released his first complete album, his self-titled debut in 1983, which included a parody of Tony Basil's hit single, Mickey. When they started playing, Al's band was a hard-driving band with a crazy comedic edge, and as things grew, they became more versatile. With electric costumes and special effects on stage, they became more of a theater production. But even though the band was doing comedy, they were no joke. Its musicians proved to have a tremendous amount of skill and craft. The lyrics were funny, but the music was great. Al's career began around the same time that MTV was blooming. In the early months of 1983, the video network started making images and visuals as important as the music in creating pop stars. For Al, it was the right time and the right place. Ultimately, much of his success resulted from his skilled use of music video, a medium that was not available in the era of Spike Jones or Alan Sherman. His comedic video for Ricky soon took his recording to another level. With video clips full of sporting garish and goofy mannerisms, MTV firmly established Yankovic's zany public persona.
Hey, Al? Yes? Oh, hold on just a second.
You so inspired to do your hair like this.
I just woke up with a bad hair.
Al,
day,
this way, please. How you doing? Okay, now get together with your date. Cheers.
Always find something odd for my collection to spin. And then let's not forget, of course, the live performers. We always have a few on every show, or one who is often featured on the live shows is Weird Al Yankovic, who's given us such modern-day classics as Another One Rides the Bus and My Bologna and I Love Rocky Road. His specialty is taking rock and roll hits and writing new lyrics to them and then performing them with his accordion, which is quite hilarious if you've ever heard heavy metal played on the accordion. And he has a band, and they always do a good show.
How important is comedy to you?
Comedy has been very good to me. Comedy is very important. It's an emotional release. So if I didn't have comedy, I would just weep uncontrollably all the time.
Oh, you're getting serious on me, Al.
You know, you're digging deep and pulling back the layers and exposing the real Al nobody knows.
Well, before I do
You're
that,
frightening me.
so enjoy the show.
Okay.
Now Al was just waiting for his next big idea to show up. At that time, Thriller by Michael Jackson was destined to become the biggest selling album of all time. So Al decided to scoff his single, Beat It, calling the parody, Eat It. The song was complemented by a groundbreaking music video, in which he even used the same actors and sets, and mocked the original Beat It clip scene for scene. After getting the blessing from the king of pop to record the parody, Weird Al became a household name in pop culture. The song earned Yankovic his first Grammy Award in the Best Comedy Recording category and made him a recognizable figure internationally. His sophomore effort and second album that included the hit dropped in 1984, titled Weird Al Yankovic in 3D. It reached the top 20 on the Billboard 200 chart. With his sense of style, Al had become memorable, and he was soon in demand as a video director for other artists, including Ben Folds, Jeff Foxworthy, the John Spencer Blues Explosion, Hanson, and the Black Crowes. By the mid-'80s, things were looking good for Yankovic. Up next was 1985's Dare to Be Stupid, the first comedy record released on CD. Despite mixed reviews, it spawned another of Al's most enduring singles, Like a Surgeon, the parody he made of Madonna's Like a Virgin.
I'm a quack that is grace of the AMA, 'cause my patients die. Yeah, my patients die before they can pay. Like a surgeon, hey, cutting for the very first time. Like a surgeon.
That same year, he starred in a mockumentary about his life called The Complete Al. This was followed by the critical and commercial flop Polka Party in 1986. The album failed to impress his fans, and people questioned his depth as an artist, but Al didn't give up and decided to give it another shot. His career was rejuvenated in 1988 with the album Even Worse. The well-received effort reached the top 30 on the Billboard 200 and also generated the hit Fat, his take on another Michael Jackson song, Bad. The single and video parodied the lavish Martin Scorsese-directed clip for Jackson's hit, and was even shot on the same subway set used by Jackson. The song became the biggest hit of his career. That's music video brought Yankovic his second Grammy.
Yeah, I always get permission when I do parodies, and Michael Jackson was no exception. I mean, he approved both parodies, Eat It and Fat, and I got to meet him a couple times since then. I went backstage to one of his concerts, and I actually presented him with a gold album for, I think it was my album Even Worse, which is a parody of his bad album. And, you know, I meant well by it, but looking back on it, it was like, does Michael Jackson really need another gold album for his collection? He was probably like, oh, thank you, I'll just throw it on the pile, you know.
With a sustained success in the video world, Al and his manager Jay Levy decided that it was time to make a film.
They need is a new station manager.
No, not him. Forget it. No way.
A man of action. A man of courage. A man of vision.
What's your name?
Billy.
Billy what?
What they get is a man so desperate, he'll put anyone on the air.
Hey, Stanley.
Yeah, George?
How would you like your own TV show?
Weird Al's timeless sense of humor translated into a 1989 feature film called UHF, which he co-wrote and starred in, and which became a cult classic when its VHS version was released, but performed badly at the box office. This sent him into an extended period of silence.
I haven't really heard much of anything lately. I've been kind of out of the loop a little bit, but I'm planning to replug myself into pop culture very soon.
He returned 3 years later in 1992 with Off the Deep End, his 7th album studio, which featured the top 40 hit song and video parody of Nirvana's landmark single, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Smells Like Nirvana brought him to another level.
Smells Like Nirvana made Nirvana feel like they had arrived. No matter how many original songs you think Al has written, I assure you, there are more than you think.
Well, for the shot-by-shots recreations, obviously, we have to be very careful to emulate everything. I mean, the attention to detail is what makes a lot of those videos. When we did the Smells Like Nirvana video, we used the same exact soundstage that Nirvana used. We used the same, several of the same cheerleaders, the same guy that played the janitor, even a lot of the same extras. So that kind of detail is kind of what helps the joke along, because you can see that it's very similar to the original, but it's just tweaked a little bit to make it funny.
A renewed sense of purpose led to 2 more studio albums, Alapalooza and Bad Hair Day, featuring the successful singles Jurassic Park and Amish Paradise, a chart-topping cult favorite that became the source of one of the biggest controversies of Al's career. When Al first started, it was tough for him to get permission from artists. But as he became bigger and bigger, less and less artists turned him down. However, one artist did turn him down on multiple occasions: Prince. Eminem also refused to allow him to do a video of his Lose Yourself parody, though he let him do the song on the album. James Blunt was fine with him doing a parody of You're Beautiful as You're Pitiful, but Blunt's label Atlantic Records ran interference. Then there was the much-published misunderstanding between Al and recording artist Coolio, following Al's parody recording of his hit Gangsta Paradise as Amish Paradise.
I'm a man of the land, I'm into discipline. Got a Bible in my hand and a beard on my chin. But if I finish all of my chores and you finish thine, then tonight we're gonna party like it's 1699. We've been spending most our lives living in an Amish paradise. A churn butter once or twice, living in an Amish paradise. It's hard work and sacrifice, living
when Coolio claimed that he never approved of the parody. Al had claimed that only 2 or 3% of approached artists declined the use of their songs. More artists, however, considered it proof that they had made it into the industry, seeing Al's parody as a rite of passage in the popularity game. Although he has found success with his parodies of popular songs, he has also recorded many original tracks that imitate artists' musical styles and satirize pop culture. When Al parodied American Pie with the Star Wars-themed The Saga Begins, he gained thumbs up from Don McLean and George Lucas.
Thanks.
It was our boy. We started singing my this here and a good guy. Maybe Vader someday later, now he's just a small fry. And he left his home and kissed his mommy goodbye, saying soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Soon I'm gonna be a Jedi. Now we finally got to Coruscant, the Jedi Council we knew would want to.
I have a great time every single day of my life. I mean, I feel extremely honored that I get to do what I do for a living because, you know, I've always been passionate about comedy and music, and I get to do both, which is, you know, cool for me.
Well, it's hard to narrow it down. I've got a lot of really great fans, a lot of hardcore fans. I'm always amazed by the ones with Weird Al tattoos, and I've met about a dozen so far that have my image or my name or my autograph, or even band members' pictures autographed on various parts of their bodies, and that always weirds me out just a little bit.
In 1997, Yankovic began hosting a weekly show called The Weird Al Show, in which he got to break all the rules in the book. The hit TV series aired on CBS on Saturday mornings and ran for a season. It was presented as a children's program, but also featured adult-oriented humor. The show featured a host of guests and friends, live musical performances, original songs, and animations.
When you're actually on the stage and you're doing, because you do a lot of parodies and you do sort of different personas, I mean, how do you sort of get into your character for the next song? You know, is it a very quick costume change, and once you put the costume on, do you feel different?
Yeah, I mean, you know, in a way, I let the, whoever I'm emulating, I try to let their spirit rise up inside my body. So like when I'm doing Jim Morrison, I let the Lizard King invade my soul. Mm-hmm. You know, and yeah, it's a costume change, not for every single song, but there's quite a few changes in the show. There's, you know, half the show takes place backstage. You never see it, you know, but there's a lot going on.
In 1999, Al released his 10th studio album, Running with Scissors, along with his new look. Having had laser eye surgery, he let his hair grow out, ditched his signature aviator glasses, and shaved his signature mustache. Yankovic married television and film executive Suzanne Krajewski in 2001. Suzanne had first met Yankovic when she was set up on a date with him by musician Bill Mumy. The two chatted for weeks on the phone before meeting in person, and Yankovic said that he already had a crush on her before their first date. It turned out that Weird Al is more than just his music. He is a devoted husband and father. The couple has a daughter, Nina, who was born in 2003. In 2003, he parodied I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys with the song eBay.
I'll buy your knick-knack, just check my feedback, A++. They all say they love me on eBay. Gonna buy a slightly damaged golf bag. Gonna buy some Beanie Babies new with
It's hard to say where ideas actually come from. I mean, you know, every artist will give you a different answer on that, but, you know, just whatever happens to strike me at the time. You mentioned eBay, and I mean, that eBay was a phenomenon, and I wanted to write a song about it because, you know, it's part of internet and geek and nerd culture, and I figured that would be a good subject matter for a song, and I paired that with the Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. Yeah, it just seemed like something that would be fun to write about. And so sometimes when I do parodies, I will start with a song and come up with a play on words or a variation on a theme. And other times I'll reverse engineer it. I'll say, I want to write a song about this, and then try to find a song that goes along well with that topic.
That same year, Weird Al made an appearance in The Simpsons' 14th season, where famously Marge hires the musician to write the love song Homer and Marge. He appeared as well on the 2008 episode That 90s Show.
The Simpsons is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. It's certainly one of the longest-running TV shows, which is part of what we're celebrating tonight. And it's exciting to me because The Simpsons has always been a quality show. The writing has always been top-notch. And they've had a number of writers over the year, and the team has morphed over the years, but it's always been a quality show, and it's something that people have been proud of. And I'm proud to say that I was featured in 2 episodes, and that's my one claim to immortality, because The Simpsons will be here long after I'm gone, so it's nice to be in syndication.
Do you have a New Year's resolution of any kind?
Absolutely none. I live every day like it's my last, with a lot of yelling and screaming and gnashing of teeth.
On April 9th, 2004, his parents, Nick and Mary, aged 87 and 81, were found dead in their home, having accidentally succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning after starting a fire in the fireplace with the flue closed. Al had been on tour when the tragedy occurred. The news of their death left him devastated, and he described the grief as indescribable. But he received an overwhelming outpouring of love from his fans. Al credits his father for positively shaping his attitude toward life, with the belief that pursuing what makes you happy is the key to success. He quickly bounced back. In 2006, he released his 12th studio album, Straight Outta Linwood, which included his first top 10 single, White and Nerdy. Its music video was viewed 6 million times on YouTube during the first 3 weeks of its release, making it onto the site's top 15 all-time most viewed videos.
Well, I do the best I can with what I'm given, and as always, my albums are very eclectic. I mean, I go from a gangster rap song to a country song to a straight-on pop song. So I try to hit as many genres as I can, and even if you're not familiar with everything that I'm doing on a particular album, hopefully you'll be familiar with a few things enough that you can glom onto it and say, oh yeah, I see what he's doing here. Lady Gaga would certainly be somebody that I would consider doing. And I hesitate to say this because some interviewer asked me a while back, like, would you consider doing a Lady Gaga parody? And I honestly answered, well, yes, Lady Gaga is a very popular artist, and as with any popular artist, I would have to consider that. And the next day in 100 newspapers, like, we're now considering Lady Gaga parody! Like, well, yes, that's not exactly what I said, but, So yeah, to reiterate, I mean, yeah, she would be somebody that I would consider doing. In fact, the polka medley on my next album does, in fact, feature Lady Gaga. So there will be some Gaga on the next release. What's funny about my career is I'm right now about to release my 13th studio album. And it seems like every album that I put out is perceived as a comeback album because I go a few years between releases. And what's also funny is every album that I put out, a whole new generation of kids discovers me. Like a 12-year-old will pick up a copy of my new album and think, oh, Mom, Dad, have you heard of this Weird Al guy? Yeah, we've heard of him, And then they'll go to the record store and find out that I've got a dozen other albums in the catalog. So it's nice when a whole new generation discovers me, and then all the back catalog starts selling as well.
His next record, Alpocalypse, was released 5 years later, and it peaked at number 9 on the Billboard 200, a step up from his previous album. Poodle Hat, Weird Al's first album of the new millennium, brought him his 3rd Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album. In 2014, his 14th and probably final traditional studio album was released. Mandatory Fun became the first and only album to hit number 1 on the Billboard charts in over 50 years. Although it marked the end of his record deal, Al promised more releases on more modern platforms and EPs.
Well, YouTube is great for people that have ideas and songs they want to get out there. It's really leveled the playing field because they aren't they don't have to go through some men in suits in some big building somewhere that say, yes, we'll put your song out. I mean, if they want to get their song out, they just upload it. And if it's good, the cream rises to the top, as they say, and people will get to see the material. It does make it a little bit harder for me because it means that never again will I be unique in doing a song parody. It takes me a while to get my material out there, and certainly, by the time I've done a parody of a particular hit song, there probably are 10,000 other parodies of that song on YouTube. So I'll never again be the first person to do a parody of anything probably, but I will continue to strive to be the best.
In addition, the single World Crimes debuted in the Billboard Top 40, making Al one of only 4 artists to have had top 40 singles in each of the last 4 decades, the other 3 being Michael Jackson, Madonna, and U2.
Well, to speak what you were alluding to, I mean, yeah, that's another sort of a pet peeve of mine. Well, not a pet peeve as much, but I mean, it's more of a challenge for me because back when I started out, it was easier to determine what the hits were and who the superstars were. I mean, there were a handful of big name artists, Michael Jackson, Prince, Bruce Springsteen, Madonna, and there's certainly still big stars to this day, but I don't think quite as many actual superstars because our whole culture has gotten so segmented, radio's gotten very compartmentalized, there's not as many shared communal pop culture experiences, so it's kind of gotten harder to determine what the hit songs are and even who the big stars are anymore.
The release also earned Weird Al his 4th Grammy Award, and his mandatory world tour saw him perform 200 shows in the space of 9 months, including 2 nights at the Hollywood Bowl and a sold-out gig at New York's Radio City Music Hall.
It's interesting what's happened in the music business because, you may have heard this rumor, the music business is kind of in trouble the last decade or so. It's been coming into some hard times, and it used to be, back when I was starting out, that you would tour to support the albums, and now it's sort of flip-flop tour. Now you release the album so you can tour. And that's large. I mean, I still make money with the recordings, but I mean, touring is sort of like what a lot of artists, I think, kind of look toward to. It's sort of their bread and butter at this point. So the touring has become more and more important, and the live shows have gotten, for me personally, have gotten kind of bigger and better every time out. So we try to give it everything we got every time we head out on the road.
With an open-minded attitude to the changing nature of the music industry, Weird Al appeared to be more culturally relevant than ever. That same year, GQ made him one of its Men of the Year.
It's pretty crazy. This is one of those things, I've had an amazing year, and this is one of those things that I never dreamed in my life would ever happen. This whole year's been surrealistic, and this is kind of the icing on the cake.
June 2017 saw the release of Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, for which Al co-wrote and performed the film's theme song. Weird Al and his band played 77 shows from February 27th to June 10th, 2018 on the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity Tour, which played to sold-out venues all across North America. In 2019, he followed up with his most extravagant tour ever, Strings Attached, where he and his band were backed for each of their 67 shows by female singers and a full symphony orchestra. In recent years, Al has remained active as a recording artist, and over the years remained a staple of film and television. On August 27, 2018, the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce awarded Weird Al Yankovic with the 2,643rd star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Weird Al Yankovic Day? Well...
They asked me to talk about what it's like to know Weird Al Yankovic in person. Well, I've known him for so long, I knew him before he was weird. Well, before he was Weird Al, anyway, people began calling him Weird Al because he's a little different. And he took that as a badge of honor. All I can say about that is, if more people were weird like him, wouldn't we have a much better world?
I am especially grateful when we're celebrating a person who gives us
perhaps the greatest gift of all, and that is the gift of laughter.
Because the way that you do something is the way that you do everything. And Al does everything the best way that it can be done.
Thank you so much for coming out to this free event. You know, honestly, I had no idea the unemployment rate was so high here in Hollywood. I didn't know. Well, this is just an unbelievable moment for me. Never in my wildest dreams would I ever have imagined that one day I would be immortalized here on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, sharing the same prestigious honor as Ryan Seacrest and Wally Cox. And seriously, I'm completely overwhelmed by the love and support of the fans. This means so much to me. I've said this in interviews many times over the years. Having my name in a star on a sidewalk, you know, and that's cool, that's really nice. You know, who wouldn't want that? But just knowing that I have the love and support of the fans, people that would go through all this time and effort and money to do something completely crazy like this, that means everything in the world to me. Although full disclosure, now that we're actually here and we're doing this is pretty awesome. I was being all cool and everything, but I'm really, really happy about this.
Al, you are without qualification the kindest, hardest working, most hilarious person I have ever met. Thank you for your music, your books, and for UHF. And thank you for agreeing to be my friend. You have held up your end of that handshake agreement that we made at Staples better than I ever could have imagined. So they say don't ever meet your heroes, but I hope you do if your heroes are like mine, Weird Al Yankovic.
Growing up, it was not okay at all to ever be weird in any way, shape, or form, right? And young people still have that sort of embedded in their social circles. But someone comes along like Weird Al Yankovic and says, you know, it's okay if you're a little different, if you have a different perspective and a different take on life, you know, and if you have a little weirdness in you, you can still contribute and add and reach your full potential without shame and without the pressure of social requirements and social structures. You can live beyond the acceptable norms.
Once again, I cannot thank the fans enough. I mean, all of this, everything today, this is all you guys, 100%. You know, so ladies and gentlemen, dreams do come true.
In 2010, Funny or Die released a trailer for a non-existent film titled Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
It feels amazing. I've been to many movie premieres, but this is the first one in 33 years where it's mine.
In the long-awaited actual film with the same title released in 2022, the parody musician made a joke of his own life with the help of Daniel Radcliffe in the main role as Weird Al.
It was both incredibly exciting, but also very, very nerve-wracking. It's the only time I've come to playing someone and being a fan of theirs at the same time, so that's sort of quite intimidating. But you know, luckily Al is an incredibly kind, sweet, and very generous with his time. So he's very patient because I'm a slow learner on the accordion, so it was nice that he was patient.
Well, you know, he's used to playing iconic characters, so and he's just such a great comedic and dramatic actor. You know, I remember seeing him on Extras. It was the first time I saw, oh my God, this guy's so hilarious. We needed someone who could really play this earnestly and realistically, but also got what we were going for. The sort of subversive humor of the whole thing.
Yankovic also acted in the film as an executive, and Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna. The biopic follows the artist from a sheltered child to an odd teen pop star.
The thing that was the spark was I saw him on the Graham Norton show, a British show in 2010, and he was a much younger guy back then, but he sang a Tom Lehrer song called The Elements, and I'm a huge Tom Lehrer fan, and you kind of have to be a big nerd to memorize and perform the Elements song, and I thought, oh, we're kindred spirits. So I just figured he had my soul and he had the energy, and I just knew that he would absolutely nail it. He does great in the movie. I mean, you know, I taught him basically how to play the songs he needed to play in the movie. And beyond that, I don't know if he's still keeping up his lessons or not, but he seemed to enjoy playing it. So maybe that's something that'll be part of his life now.
I mean, honestly, the accordion was like it was tricky. Like I did enough. I cannot play the accordion. I can do enough for the specific moments in this film. But I'd also say just like the general pace of the film meant there was, you know, the fight scenes, all the choreography we were learning, everything had to be sort of done at a real pace. But I credit to Eric, our director, like he's so prepared, and I don't know how we would have got it done without him.
I think a lot of people are going to come into it expecting a real spoofy, like airplane version of you know, like a biopic parody. And I think what's surprising about this is it has a unique story of its own, and it's played a lot straighter than people might think. It exists in a bizarre universe of its own, but like it really follows the formula of an actual biopic.
I can spot a talent that I know is the future of music. But first, we gotta find you a stage name. Al Yankovic. It's long, it's hard to pronounce. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. Weird Al Yankovic. I love it.
Weird Al has taken the world by storm.
Do I know you?
Madonna, I was wondering if you were going to do a parody of my song.
Few would have guessed that the shy accordion-playing teenage boy would go on to become a pop culture icon and the best-selling comedy recording artist of all time, selling over 12 million albums. Now an accomplished musician in his own right, he has come a long way. In the world of novelty records, the 4-time Grammy winner is the foremost song parodist of the MTV era, a king who has scored smash after smash over the course of an enduring career. The unlikely superstar is perhaps the most improbable preserving comic icon in modern history. With charm, originality, and intelligence, he has always kept up with modern trends in comedy and music. Weird Al Yankovic changed music literally, and he keeps rocking.
Done it better. I'm very, very proud to be here and to say that this man's career began on the Dr. Demento show. Still on the air, by the way. DrDemento.com. Hey! New album, Dr. Demento, covered in punk, but I'm entirely here to salute the greatest, Weird Al Yankovic.
I want to thank the two most important people in my life. My amazing wife, Suzanne, and my equally amazing daughter, Nina. Suzanne, thanks for putting up with me when I'm in my creative mode, when I'm lost in my own world, staggering around the house like a zombie in a Simpsons bathrobe, his eyes glazed over and randomly bumping into things. I'm sure that's not what you signed up for. And Nina, thank you so much for putting up with years and years and years of horrible dad jokes. I can't even begin to imagine how horrible and torturous that was for you, and I'm truly deeply sorry. I love you both so much. Well, thank you all once again for this amazing honor. This is so far beyond anything I could have possibly imagined when I was in college, recording songs with my accordion in a bathroom. Getting the star on the Walk of Fame, I kind of feel like this is maybe my one real shot at immortality, because I know that now my name is gonna basically be here till the end of civilization, which, let's face it, is probably like 3 or 4 months away, but still, that's something, I guess, right? I love you guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Weird Al Yankovic, for the gift of laughter.